The lands just beyond the Himalayas are a vast and cold desert. The region is surrounded by some of the tallest mountains of the world and is very thinly populated. This high and arid land consists of Ladakh, Lahaul Spiti and Kinnaur on the Indian side and of Tibet. We are at Zojila Pass at 11,400 feet altitude. It is through here that Buddhism and Buddhist culture spread from Kashmir twice to Ladakh, Lahaul Spiti, Kinnaur and to Tibet. The first great diffusion of Buddhism to these areas was in the 8th century when the great Guru Padmasambhava spread Buddhism. The second great diffusion of Buddhism in the Trans-Himalayas was when Rinchen Zangpo from Tibet came to Kashmir to bring back the true knowledge of Buddhism.
When King Yeshe O came to the throne of Guge in 947 AD, his kingdom consisted of the present Indian territories of Ladakh, Lahaul Spiti and Kinnaur, and Guge and Purang in western Tibet. By then, Buddhism had declined in the Trans-Himalayas. What troubled the king most was that even the little practice of the religion, which continued, was decadent and full of magical practices. Around 975 AD, the king sent 21 young scholars to Kashmir, which was then one of the greatest centers of Buddhism. Their mission was to learn about the faith and to bring back knowledge and scriptures. These young men set out full of zeal, but the journey was long and difficult. 19 of them died in the travel to and from Kashmir. Two scholars survived the journey to Kashmir and came back after 17 years. One of these two was Rinchen Zangpo. He was to become famous for all time to come as Lotsawa, the great translator. He translated the Sanskrit texts which he had brought from Kashmir into Tibetan. Rinchen Zangpo also supervised the construction of many monasteries and temples. These became exquisite jewels of the faith, set in the midst of the vast spaces of the Trans-Himalayan desert. The second great diffusion of Buddhism in the Trans-Himalayas, which was begun by King Yeshe O and Rinchen Zangpo, was a dawn of faith on the roof of the world. The light of knowledge which they brought was to continue forever in these vast regions.
"
108 monasteries are believed to have been constructed in this period in the kingdom of Guge in western Tibet, Ladakh, Lahaul Spiti and Kinnaur. The people believe that the monasteries of Rinchen Zangpo were created miraculously in one night. Villagers awoke in the morning and discovered a beautiful temple there. Truly, the making of these temples in a short time and across vast distances must have appeared to be a miracle. Rinchen Zangpo has been transformed in the minds of the people from a historical figure to a supernatural being who performed miracles.
We are at the Alchi temple complex, about 74 kilometers west of Leh. This is one of the original 108 monasteries which were founded under the supervision of Rinchen Zangpo in the 10th and 11th centuries. We are in front of the Sumstek or three-storied temple of Alchi. This has inside it some of the most beautiful paintings of mankind. These were made by Kashmiri artists who were invited for the purpose. In fact, the wood carving of the temple was also done by the Kashmiri artists, and this is very typically in the style of Kashmir in that period.
Since ancient times, the hallmark of the finest Indian art was the deep and inward look on the faces of the figures. The art of these monasteries continues this sublime tradition. What makes the paintings and sculptures here unique is a lilting grace which awakens a sense of joy within us. The art of these early trans-Himalayan monasteries takes us far from the noise and clamour of the material world.
These temples, you can find many different statues and wall paintings still remaining. The experts, they say these are the Kashmiri style, similar to maybe many temples that you may find in Kashmir. Rinchen Zampo, he studied in Kashmir actually. There was Buddhism in Kashmir, and maybe great universities were there and great scholars were there. So he mainly studied Buddhism and Sanskrit in Kashmir. So when he built those temples, he brought artists from Kashmir.
It's quite wonderful to see how even ruined sites like Nyarma have treasures of art hidden within them. When I came here for the first time 5 years ago, this broken-looking chortan had a small little entrance near the ground. In fact, I remember I had to lie down on my tummy and somehow wriggle inside this chortan. And inside were beautiful paintings of around the 13th century. Inside this chortan are such beautiful bodhisattvas painted with hands of devotion.
King Yeshao and the great translator Rinchen Zangpo wished to re-establish the Buddhist faith in the Trans-Himalayas. They also wanted to ensure that it was true knowledge that would form the basis of this renaissance. In Buddhism, the cult of Vairochana was then prominent across India, especially in Kashmir. Rinchen Zangpo had studied scriptures related to Vairochana during the time he spent in Kashmir.